And just to be further contrarian, I feel like there's so much more toxic masculinity that's holding women back. But I think it exists.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Glad to have you back. The video we're going to be watching today is titled, "Is Toxic Femininity Holding Women Back?" And it comes from The View, as you can see. Now, before I even watch this video, my honest opinion is that this is going to be a very disingenuous conversation. I don't think these ladies will honestly be talking about the truly toxic traits, the toxically feminine traits that a lot of modern day women show today, and even, you know, older women like these ones. But we're going to watch it. All right. Now, but before we watch it, I want to show you this because you saw the intro and I just thought this was very interesting. Now, she said that, you know, women suffer due to toxic masculinity so bad. Oh my God. First thing that came to my mind is all of the inventions and, you know, all of everything that men have produced throughout time to not only get women, you know, where they are, but to also get society to where it is today. And all the things that men still do in, you know, innovation and infrastructure to keep society going, it clearly seems like they have no respect for that. The woman who I showed in the intro. But I searched inventions men made to help women. This is a very simple question. You would think I would have my answer. But notice here how all you see is inventions, women inventors. You have women inventors to thank for these. Men live without inventions made by women, inventions created by women that were credited to men, 10 inventions and theories made by women but credited to men. So even when I'm searching for something about inventors who are men who helped women, all they show me is how women got ripped off by men inventors. That's all they show me. And I changed up my question a little bit. Top inventions made by men. And I'm getting the same articles. Top six inventions and theories made by women but credited to men. You know, it's like they don't want to put men in the spotlight. And this just lets me know, this lets everyone know, the people who control what we see do not want us to look up to men in any regard, because if they did, then they wouldn't be clouding my search results. You know what I mean? But we're about to get into this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Now let's roll it.
Yeah, apparently the term toxic masculinity comes up a lot these days, but women took to Reddit to talk about when they faced toxic femininity from other women, like being told to act like a lady or getting bullied by other moms. Is this something you are aware of?
Oh, wait, before we begin, let me tell you something. I think we have a legal note from the werewolves.
Oh. No, I think it is real, though. We've come a long way in kind of critiquing some of the male practices that needed to be called out. And I think that women have made a ton of progress, but we can also be each other's worst enemies. It's still the case, and I hate to say it, some of the worst bosses I've had have been women, and sometimes colleagues in the workplace who are women. And I always think of the Madeleine Albright quote.
Well, that's what happens when you work with Kellyanne Conway.
No. I mean, well, I can't really get a word in without you attacking me, so I wouldn't say this is a totally different. This isn't like a totally different environment of women supporting each other. But Madeleine,
that's toxic femininity on display for us right there. Now, we watching The View, a show that did not condemn Sunny Holston at all for saying that white women are roaches. You know, they have disdain for a whole half of the population who choose to vote Republican, even though she's a Republican. And Anna Navarro says she's a Republican, but I don't know what type of Republican she is. But so they're having a conversation about toxic femininity when we've been watching The View on this channel. People have been seeing The View for years. They have several examples of toxic femininity. Toxic femininity is on this show every single day, just off of the strength of the ladies, the women that they happen to have on that panel. And I also noticed another thing about this conversation as well. When women generally talk about toxic masculinity, and if these women were to have a conversation about toxic masculinity, the floodgates would be open. There will be nothing off limits to talk about. They would mention every little detail under the sun. But I'm noticing in this conversation so far, the only examples of toxic femininity they're even giving are examples that happen to affect women. When they talk about toxic masculinity is so bad it affects the whole world. But when they talk about toxic femininity, apparently toxic femininity only affects women, which is not true. A toxic female doesn't only hinder women, doesn't only slow women down. A toxic female is slowing down men as well, and slowing down society and a hindrance on society as well. But I don't think they'll blow this conversation up that big.
Albright's always said there's a special place in hell for women who don't help and support other women. Right. And it's something I try to live by. I think that we have a duty to kind of give that back, especially for the women who come after us.
I think there's a big divide. I felt it between working moms and stay-at-home moms. There's a lot of judgment, and I think that it's based in like insecurity and judgment, you know, like jealousy, actually. But a lot of it's subtle. A lot of it's like, you're wearing that? Like, oh, you know, that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I think, just to be a little contrarian, I think I've been supported so much by women, you know, that I don't want to lose sight of that. Like, I was just thinking about an example. I was on the air one day, I was making fun of myself, something self-deprecating about like, oh, I'm too FAT, I don't like to say the word, or whatever. And Robin Roberts turned to me and said, don't beat yourself.
Let me just point something out there. She's scared to say fat. She didn't even want to call herself fat. And this is a problem that women have. This is a toxic feminine trait that definitely is a hindrance to women, and women do not like the uncomfortability of being truthful with one another. You know, there's a saying, a quote, that there's no man who will tell you the truth straighter than a man that does not intend on sleeping with you. That's why, you know, brothers, cousins, uncles, you know, father figures in your life, women need that, because men, we communicate a lot more directly to each other. And again, a man that has no intentions of sleeping with you will not lie to you. He will tell you things straight, exactly what you need to hear. I've noticed from my observation of women that women have a very hard time telling each other uncomfortable truths about each other. They'll lie to each other's faces just because they don't want to deal with the confrontation of it.
Up like that. Don't do that. And don't do that on the air. It's I was like, you're right. It was just like a light bulb.
And also, they've still yet to really give any real criticism on what is a toxic female. They haven't even really said anything about it.
Moment. I thought it was nice. And just to be further contrarian, I feel like there's so much more toxic masculinity that's holding women back. But I think it exists for sure.
Well,
we can't deny it.
No, and I have to say, I have to give Whoopi credit. You've been just like so supportive of all the women on this show, because you've accomplished so much, and we're all coming up under you and just looking up to you. And I think I'm glad you said that, because women support women more than they don't, but I think it's worth acknowledging when we are hard on each other.
The conversation of what is toxic femininity, what does that have to do with women supporting women? Because again, like I said, when you hear these ladies talk about, or any females, any women, when you hear them talk about toxic masculinity, it's not just about what do men do that affect, what does men do that affect men? It's about what does men do that's toxic, that affects everyone, that affects the world, the patriarchy. Oh my God! But like I said, this is par for the course. I honestly expected this. You know, all these women will do is sit up here and stroke each other's egos and not be honest. They're afraid to be honest. You know, the Me Too culture is a living example of how women just agree with each other, not even knowing the facts or not even knowing the details. So for her to say that there's a special place in hell for women who don't support women, I know she was quoting someone, but for her to say that, it just shows they're not really talking about the real issues. I would classify the Me Too movement as extremely toxic, incredibly toxic. Look at what it's done to men. It's literally put men in jail. It's men in jail right now because of that. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, again, par for the course. Nothing unexpected here.
Well, yeah, I think that's right. Just to be real about it, for real.
You know, I went to an all-girls school. And that's made such a difference in my life, because I went to the Sacred Heart, and those nuns instilled a sense of sisterhood. There's a sisterhood in the Sacred Heart, and there's also instilled the sense that we could do anything and be anything we wanted to be.
Right.
And but one of the things that does bother me though is I've seen women who do things like get on boards. And you know, there's a big announcement, oh, the first woman on this board, and if they're a Latina woman, it bothers me even more. And then they get on there and they don't pull up other women. So I think that when, you know,
So if you're a woman, you have to pull up other women. Like I said, you know, honestly, I think I'm done with this, you guys. I think I'm done with this because they have not addressed the issue head on at all. They've yet to speak about it. You know, I could just name something off the top of my head. You know, we live in a society today where women will, you know, clown other women or put them down for being a pick-me, wanting to have a man and wanting to have a family, for staying in the house and not going out on the weekend to go shake her ass because she's taking care of her kids or she's, you know, taking care of her man. Women will literally demonize other women for taking care of their men. Like I said, I could go on, but you know that these women, you know that when you see a conversation like this, a title like this, I knew from the start that this would not be a genuine conversation about truly toxic feminine traits. So no surprises here, you guys, but that's it for the video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe on your way out the door. Till next time, you guys, I'm out. Peace and love.